Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra Unit 5, Review A. Remember to show your work. Alright, first step. Determine if the ordered pair is a solution to the system. Circle yes or no. So when it's asking us if something is a solution, that means we need to, that's right, plug in. So we'll call this one our blue point. So y is greater than or equal to negative 3x plus 3. We're going to go ahead and plug in negative 3 for y and 2. So we have a negative 3 on the left, greater than or equal to negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. And negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. So is negative 3 greater than or equal to negative 3? And that is true. Okay, so we're not done because we have to check both points. Okay, so we have y is less than 1/2 x minus 2. So let's go ahead and plug everything in again. Please double check that you're using the right points. We just have negative 3 on the left, less than half of 2 is 1. So we have negative 3 is less than, well, 1 minus 2 is negative 1. Is negative 3 less than negative 1? And that is true. So the answer for the first one is yes. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing for number 2. We're going to plug it in. All right, so we have y equals to 2x plus 2. And then our second equation, 4x minus y equals negative 10. Why don't you guys pause the video and see if you can do this one all on your own. Good luck. Okay, so plugging into the blue one, right away I got false. So if I get false right away, do I have to go and do the second equation? No, because it's got to be true for, that's right, both of them. So once you get a false, you know you're done. Okay. Now, this one says to solve the system of linear equations by graphing. How do I know that I need to graph? There's a giant graph next to it. Okay. So let's look at our first one. I'm just going to rewrite it down here. Y is less than or equal to 4x plus 3. I know that my slope is 4 over 1. My y-intercept is 0, 3. And now looking at that inequality, I know that it's going to be solid. And then it's less than, which means I need to shade below. Okay, so let's go ahead and start graphing this. So at 0, 3 is where I start. And then my slope is 4 over 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. Okay, there's my line. It's going to be a solid line. Okay. And now let's look at the next one. Our y is less than negative x minus 2. So I know it's negative 1 over 1. My y-intercept is 0, negative 2. And it's less than, which means we're going to have open points. And then I need to shade below. Okay, so at 0, negative 2, I'm open. And then I just go down one, over one, down one, over one, down one, over one. And I'm going to do that in both directions. Okay? And when it's open, that means we have dashed lines. Okay, so I have everything right there. So I need to number my sections of the graph to figure out what we're going to shade. Now the blue line says below, so I need to be below the blue line, which means I'm going to get rid of 1 and 4. And I have to be below the red line, which means I can get rid of 2. So our answer is just going to be, that's right, section 3. Cool. Now sometimes it asks to give a sample solution. And remember, that just means going through and picking a point inside of there. Okay, and that point would be -1, -7. You didn't have to do that, but just in case it asks you for it. All right, number 4. You want to try to graph number 4 all on your own? Why don't you try? Go ahead and pause the video, and good luck. Okay, and there we go. So our first line is the slope, the blue line, m is greater than 5/3 x minus 2. My slope was 5/3. My y-intercept was 0, -2. It's open, and I need to shade above. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I'm shading above the blue line, I can get rid of 3 and 4. Now the red line, x is greater than or equal to 3. It's a vertical line because there's only one variable and it's x. It's a solid, and I don't shade above or below a vertical line. I can only shade to the right or to the left, and since it's greater, we shade to the right. And so I cross out 1. So the only thing that's going to be colored in for number 4 is going to be that little corner right there. Okay? All right. Now, we've talked about a bunch of different ways to solve systems, but we need to pay attention to what the directions ask us for. They're asking us to solve by graphing, and the reason why I know we're going to graph is there's a giant graph right next to it, so that's what it's asking us to do. Okay? So why don't you do number 5 on your own, and we'll do 6 together, because 6 we have to do a little bit more work. Okay? So go ahead and pause the video, and good luck. Okay, there's my line. I can see where they intersect right there, and that is going to be at the point -1, -2. All right, next one. So we have to do some solving here. We have x plus 3y equals -6. So the first thing we're going to do is subtract the x to the other side. And we get 3y equals -x minus 6. To get the y all by itself, I need to divide everything by 3. And we get that y equals -1/3 x minus 2. So my slope is -1/3, and our y-intercept is 0, -2. So I'm starting at 0, -2, and I go down 1 over 3, down 1 over 3. And I'm going to do that in both directions until I get my line. Okay, and Now our second equation, the 5x minus 3y equals negative 12. So same thing, we want to find out what y is, so we're going to subtract the 5x to the other side, and we have negative 3y equals negative 5x minus 12. To get the y by itself, we're going to divide by negative 3, and we need to divide everything by negative 3. And we get that y equals a positive 5/3 x plus 4. All right, let's go ahead and start graphing. Oh, that's right. My slope is 5/3, and my y-intercept is 0, 4. Okay, so at 0, 4 I start. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. I don't find it there. Go in the opposite direction. We find out where they meet. And then I'm going to go one extra point. Okay, let's go ahead and draw the line. Oops. There we go. That's a little better. Okay. And what's that point? Where do they intersect? Yeah, that's the point. Negative 3, negative 1. Okie dokie. So remember, we've learned different ways to solve. So we need to pay attention to what the directions tell us to do. Solve the following systems by using substitution or elimination. We can use either method that we want. I'm going to do 2 of these and you're going to do 2 of these. So first one, number 7. The y is by itself, which tells me I should use substitution. Okay, I'm going to plug in for the y. And so we get negative 2x plus what we plug into, negative 16, and I'm plugging into negative 4x plus 14. So there's nothing I need to distribute there, so I'm just going to rewrite that. Negative 2x minus 4x plus 14 equals negative 16. Combine our like terms. Negative 6x plus 14 equals negative 16. And then solve. So I'm going to subtract 14 to both sides. Negative 6x equals negative 30. And then divide by negative 6. We get x equals 5. So I know what x is, I just don't know what y is. So to find out what y is, I'm going to go back to one of our original equations, and y is already by itself. Okay, so now we're going to plug in 5 and solve. Negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. And negative 20 plus 14 gives us negative 6. So our final answer is 5, negative 6. All right, number 8. That's right, you get to do number 8 on your own. Now, what I would do, I would do substitution. Okay, go ahead and pause the video, and good luck. Okay, so I plugged in the negative 2y minus 2. Remember, this is our check right here. Our first step, I only have the variable y, so good. Distribute, we get negative 16y plus 16 plus y equals 1. I combine like terms to get negative 15. Subtracted my negative 16 and then divided by negative 15 to get a positive 1. I plugged it back in and we get x equals 2y minus 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. Now, just because it's 0, it doesn't mean no solution or infinite solutions. We're talking about the number 0. Okay? Alrighty. Number 9. Now, when I'm looking at 9, the first thing that I notice is that my x's and my y's are already lined up. What do I want to get rid of? I want to get rid of the y's because, yeah, one's positive 6 and the other's negative 6. Right, so I'm going to multiply the bottom by negative y, or negative 1. So my top equation stays the same. 2x plus 6y equals negative 10. And remember, it doesn't matter which one you multiply by. Yeah, that's right. I made this one a little harder. Okay? And then that turns into a positive 18. Our y's cancel, and we get negative 4x equals negative 10 plus 18 is 8. Well, I have that negative 4x, so to get rid of the negative 4, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4, and we get that x equals negative 2. Okay, this time I'll plug into the top equation. We have 2x, x is what we know, so 2 times negative 2 plus 6y equals negative 10. 2 times negative 2 gives us negative 4. So to get the y by itself, I'm going to add 4 to both sides. And we get that 6y equals negative 6. When you divide both sides by 6, don't forget about that negative, and we get y equals negative 1. And remember, these are asking for points. Okay. All right, so I did number 9, which means you guys are doing number 10. Yeah, it's set up for elimination. Okay, pause the video, and good luck. Man, Mr. Grice gave you guys the easy one. So I tried to cancel my x's, so I just multiplied by 2 because they're opposites already, and 2 times negative 3 gives me negative 6. But then we get negative 14 and negative 18. Well, 6x minus 6x, those canceled. 14y minus 14y, those canceled, and we're left with 0. On the right side, 18 minus 18 is 0. And since this is a true statement, 0 equals 0, our final answer is infinite solutions. Okay. So now we have word problems. Say to solve the following application problems, answer the questions by using a complete sentence. Okay, so we got 2 of these, and I guess I'll be nice. We'll do the first one together. So Hugo and Stefan are on the wrestling team selling cheesecakes to fundraise money for new uniforms. They're selling chocolate swirl cheesecakes and strawberry cheesecakes. Well, those are the two, I bet you those are the 2 things we're going to be talking about. So chocolate swirl and strawberry. Hugo sold 2 chocolate swirls and 10 strawberry cheesecakes and made a total of $217.20. Stefan sold 13 chocolate swirl and 5 strawberry and made a total of $319.80. What is the cost of each type of cheesecake? So the first thing that we need to do is to identify our 2 variables. So the 2 things that we're talking about are the chocolate and the strawberry cheesecakes. So Hugo sold 2x plus 10y to make a total of $217.20. Now Stefan, he sold 13x plus 5y and made a total of $319.80. So just remember when we're doing that, that each sentence is its own equation. Okay, now, what do I want to cancel? I'm going to cancel the y's. And to cancel the y's, I'm going to multiply by a -2. So my top equation stays the same, the 2x plus 10y equals $217.20. And then we get -26x minus 10y. And the last one, ooh, I'm going to need a calculator for that. Let me get mine out. I know it's number 11 and we're finally using the calculator. Okay, so I have -2 times, was it 319.80, which gives us -$639.60. So -$639.60, right? Can double check. 639.6, perfect. Okay, so our y's cancel, and then we get -24x equaling, well, we gotta add that other part, the 217.20. We're at -422.4. 422.40. Okay. And the last step would be to divide by -24. And when I divide by by -24, you get -17.6. Or I'm sorry, positive 17.6. Okay. And we're talking about money here. So x equals $17.60. Just because you get a decimal, don't freak out. We're talking about the cost of something. Okay, now to find out what y is, I'm going to plug into the original equation, and I'm going to do this top one. Oh, 0.20. And we're plugging in the 1760. Okay, so we have to do 1760 times 2, and we get 35.20. So that's $35.20. So to solve, we're going to subtract the $35.20. We're left with y equaling, well, 217.20 minus 35.20, and we get 182. And then the last step is to divide by 10. And we get that y equals, once again, we're talking about money, $18.20. So they're asking for a complete sentence. So let's talk about the cheesecakes. The cost of the first one was the chocolate swirl. Chocolate swirl, that was our X, right? So the cost of the chocolate swirl cheesecake was $17.60. And each strawberry cheesecake was $18.20. Okay? Now, don't do all of that hard work and they get points off for either mixing up the variables or not writing a complete sentence, okay? Alrighty, last one. You guys are all on your own, okay? Go ahead and pause the video and good luck. Okay, just catching up with you. total of $15 for the bat and gloves. That's our first one. And then $30 for the bat, $15 for the glove, total of $345. That's my second. Okay? All right, I'm going to pause it again. Solve it. Okay, and then I get my final answer of Mr. Gomez bought 7 baseball gloves. Now, I wish I would have read that before. Remember the question is saying, what did, asking what did they want? Well, they want to know the gloves. The gloves were the Y, and that's what I ended up canceling. Now, I could have been smart and come back here and multiplied by -30 to cancel my X's, and then I could have figured out what Y is right away, but no, Mr. Grice did not do that. So, hopefully you guys were smarter than Mr. Grice on that one. Well, guys, that's it for Algebra 1, Unit 5 review. Remember, if you have any questions, please come find Ms. Carranza or myself. We would love to help you out. Otherwise, this is Mr. Grice signing off. Make sure you're studying for your test. All right, thanks for watching.